Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nerdstalgia Live. I am your host, Tim, alongside Donnelly, Dan, and Rich. How's everyone doing tonight?
Fantastic.
I'm trying so hard not to laugh.
Well,
Right before we went on here, it was just out of
You're just
control.
champing.
So.
You're champing at the bit.
I feel like we need champing at the bit.
You're champing.
Oh, my God. Welcome, everybody, to the show. We have a fantastic show in store for tonight. Definitely going to be a little Star Wars heavy, so hope you guys are ready for that. We had Star Wars Celebration Weekend out in, was it London?
London is
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was London. Lots of big reveals, lots of news for the Star Wars going forward. So we're going to dive into all those details and more right here. Thanks for those of you who are joining us live. Remember, if you are watching now, big help is to hit that thumbs up button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do us a favor, hit subscribe. You don't want to miss any of this, trust me. I want to give a quick shout out to the chat. We've got Techie, we've got Tyler, Karen, Christy, Spoon Guy, Sherry,
man.
Nimbo Socks. There we go. We've got Jeff. Thank you guys for joining us. More of you filtering in. Obviously, it was a big weekend for Star Wars fans. Happy Easter for those of you who celebrate. Hope everybody had a good time with their family. Lots of ham, lots of turkey, whatever you guys were having. But I was celebrating something different, and that was the Star Wars celebration. So they announced a few things. So obviously, they talked a lot about the current season of Mandalorian. They did announce Andor with the final season sometime next year. Rey is going to be getting her own movie, New Jedi Order. That's going to take place 15 years after the sequel trilogy.
Yep.
And that's gonna kind of tie up a lot of loose ends there. It's going to be her kind of doing her Jedi masterclass training. Then Filoni and Favreau have their own movie that's going to be set after the events of the Mandoverse.
Yep.
So that's going to kind of tie up Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and kind of bring all of those stories to an arc. So that's what that movie is set for. And then James Mangold has a film that's going to be The First Jedi, which takes place 25,000 years before Phantom Menace. And that's being described as like a biblical epic. Yeah. So I'm really, really, really excited for that.
Yeah, they're getting into like the gritty of the lore, like because there's a lot of that. Like unless you really dig into Wikipedias and stuff like that, like you're not going to know a lot of the stuff. So they're trying to. It looks like they're going to start explaining some of that stuff so you can understand on a fundamental level when they start showing you new stuff in the movies, like what it means and where it's from.
Yeah, they're clearly going to the expanded universe. That kind of went by the wayside when Disney took over in 2012. There was a lot of eras and storylines and characters that, kind of all, Disney basically did a reboot, started fresh. Anything that wasn't, at that point, the movies or I think the Clone Wars, and there was a couple books, and it basically started fresh. And everything that came before, aside from those few things, they lumped into what's called the Star Wars Legends. So it sounds like they are finally dipping into that well, which fans have of course been asking for years, because really fantastic story arcs to be had.
There's so many cool characters from it's like we need to do that. We've seen enough of these, we've had these characters that we've known for a while. Like we need to, we want to see more of like, to know what makes these newer characters important. We have to know what's happened and why, what kind of sacrifices were made. And, that's cool to get into some of that older lore, see that stuff represented in film and not just, tabs in Reddit.
Now, a question I have, and I was wondering if Rich maybe can help field this, because you know a lot more of Star Wars legend lore and things like that than I think any of the three of us may. And with that being there, The Acolyte is the series that I am most excited about. And I don't know if you guys heard the news on that one.
That's the one with Jude Law, right?
Yes.
It's they're kind of almost pitching it as like a Goonies-esque.
Kids going on the adventure or something, right?
Yeah.
But
so
they're
it sounds
comparing it. Yeah. They're comparing it to like a Kill Bill type of idea. So I'm wondering if when they said that in the panel, if they were referring to that to being in terms of its violence, in terms of the revenge story, in terms of, any of that type of stuff, kind of piqued my interest with it and really, really wanted to hear more. But obviously, they're very tight-lipped, as Disney tends to be. But are you familiar with any of these characters? Plus, there's a Jedi Wookiee involved with that story.
Yeah, I saw that.
Pretty excited for that.
I'm not familiar with the characters that they're going to introduce, but it is definitely one of the more intriguing things that was announced and showcased. They seem to be with that wanting to kind of buck a lot of trends, kind of go against Star Wars norms. So very excited to see what they do with that. That should be interesting.
Yeah. I agree. There were a lot of great announcements. There's a lot of mixed reviews, obviously, and I'm gonna definitely say my piece when it comes to the announcement of Daisy Ridley coming back, and kind of what the trends are on Reddit, on YouTube, all these different channels, and all these opinions of kind of the Star Wars talking heads out there. So we'll dive into that, but let's start with the Ahsoka trailer. I personally thought that this trailer looked amazing. I cannot believe we're actually getting Grand Admiral Thrawn. So definitely looking forward to that. But kind of what's everybody's initial thoughts here?
I mean, I haven't been this excited after seeing a Star Wars trailer or Star Wars universe trailer than I was when Episode 1 trailer first premiered when I was a kid. I love the original trilogy, and then Episode 1 trailers dropped, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta see that!" And that's how I felt when Ahsoka came out. I'm like, "Oh, I cannot wait!" Like, why does it have to be so long away?
Yep.
So for me, this was the thing I was the most excited about. I thought the trailer was fantastic, and then to my point earlier about after the Disney acquisition, they just jettisoned all these characters or storylines. Grand Admiral Thrawn was one of these characters from the expanded universe, from a series of books that was released in the early 90s that essentially took place right after Return of the Jedi. I think it was like 5-10 years after Return of the Jedi, and followed Han, Luke, Leia, and the budding New Republic. So it's interesting. They kind of there's kind of a fan service to people who are familiar with those books when she said, she said to quote "Heir to the Empire." That was the name of the first book in those trilogies. So whether they're going to try to incorporate those storylines into the show, or if again that was just fan service, it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited though.
Me too. A lot of people are saying so here's the deal. I need to go back and I need to watch all the animated stuff.
Yes.
I watched bits and pieces of Clone Wars, and I watched bits and pieces of Rebels, bits and pieces of the Bad Batch. I really need to go back and just kind of start fresh and just get caught up on the story, because first of all, it looks great, but from what I'm hearing with Ahsoka is this is going to really piggyback off of a lot of, they did an interview where they basically said you don't have to have watched Rebels, but it's recommended. You're not going to they're going to catch you up. They're going to give these backstories, right? But I think it's only going to help your cause if you go back and watch this. And I really want to make an attempt to just start from the beginning of the animated stuff and just really, really kind of go down the rabbit hole.
I never watched Rebels, and I think that is going to be mandatory viewing before Ahsoka premieres. For as much as I was excited about this trailer, people who are fans of the Rebel series, I think had an even greater appreciation, because there, I believe 3 characters from that series made their live action debut in the trailer.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
And that's big, Sabine is from the series, and there's a lot of Rebels references I felt within this. So if you haven't seen Rebels, you're definitely going to want to before you watch this. I'm really excited to see a lot going on here. And I don't know if anybody else picked up on it, but did you notice that the lightsaber is orange?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I read something somewhere on Twitter where it was confirmed to be orange intentionally.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious to see what that's going to play into, if that has any actual meaning to it,
It does. So what was it? The New Order, some kind of, there was a game somewhat recently that came out, and they started introducing some of these other colors like orange, and so we don't know yet, as far as I'm aware of, like what that means as far as orange goes, but it does directly mean something to their style and their allegiance and all that stuff.
And then I think you showed the clip, but Mon Mothma also appears in the trailer, which is of course pretty cool. And that ties into Andor and Return of the Jedi. Yeah, there she is. Right. So
and
very cool.
Just to tag off the animated stuff once again, I wanted to mention out there, and if Disney's listening, I hope they are. Can you please get the Clone Wars in chronological order on Disney Plus, as opposed to premiere in debut order? It drives me crazy when I want to watch the storyline as it plays, to have to skip around season 3, season 1, season 5, season 2. Yeah. It's such a pain. Someone just make the chronological order, please.
You would think.
Yeah, that is a good call out. I wholeheartedly agree.
Oh, if I could circle back actually to our last thing here, I found out. So the Acolyte is going to be a dark Star Wars story from the perspective of the Sith Lord, Darth Bane. So it's Darth Bane's lineage and what they're doing.
Okay.
So that's the focus of that one.
All right.
So that's
I'm excited for that. And
I don't know much about Darth Bane, really.
I love the dark and gritty, though. I love the dark stories. I love the really mature content and stuff like that, without having to just throw a ton of violence into it.
Yeah.
And that's something that that's why I was so excited for the Acolyte, because when I heard that it was going to be more of an adult type of series, it really got me going there, because that's what I liked about Andor. Andor, definitely, you got to see developments from characters that lived lives within, if it's you want to root for the bad guys in some ways, because you realize that they're just people doing their jobs with stuff like that. It kind of brought a new perspective to the Star Wars universe that I hadn't previously had.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think anything that sheds some light on the Sith is certainly welcome. After all these years, I mean, really very little is known. So it'll be interesting to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit on the Sith and their lore and, their rise to power.
I agree. And honestly, when I look at that movie, that's kind of featuring the first Jedi that they announced, the first Jedi, when they announced that one, all I can think about is like, okay, we're going to get a look at the very first Jedi. So what does that mean for the Sith? Obviously, that's got to go hand in hand, right? Whether it be there's mention and there's story of it in the movie, or there's another movie that comes out. Like, I am all for it. I cannot wait. I love a good origin story. Who doesn't? I mean, and especially thing as deep as the Star Wars universe, to get an origin story dating back 25,000 years before Phantom Menace, they can do whatever they want at this point.
Right.
And it makes you wonder too, like, what was the state of the Force back then? Was it more primal and hard to control, or was it more refined and forgiving? Like, what are they gonna have to deal with?
It's interesting because they keep saying it's a biblical epic, and I know that Jedi is like a religion, and it was originally like an ancient religion that was like Jedi. It wasn't like pronounced the same way or something. And it evolved into what we know as the Jedi Order. But originally it was a belief system, and it's kind of interesting that you bring up that point, Dan, of what control do they have, as they're harnessing this power that is the Force. And I like the comment you popped up about the rule of two, because if they start incorporating the origin of the rule of two, like, why is there only two?
When did that start? Are we going to see the number 2 for that, for that dynasty as well? But with the power, it's like, and how divided was it back then? Was it just the Force, or was it the light side and the dark side? Like, is that a political spin? And it's like, it's one of those, like, we're going to find out what the deal is, what the real deal is.
What is the deal?
What's the deal with the Force?
I believe the rule of two came about in the expanded universe. The in-universe explanation was that there was so much infighting that they created the rule of two to not dilute the power of the Sith. So there weren't all these competing factions. So I'm sure they'll touch on something similar.
It's like a power check to make sure each of them are playing ball and not just because we know the Sith, they want power at the expense of everything else. They're going to go full steam ahead. They're going to bulldoze anyone in their way. So there's no check of power to make sure anything that the Senate wants them to do or whatever, faction exists at the time.
I am the Senate.
Exactly. Like choke someone across the court. Case closed,
I mean, that's how each Sith Lord ascends, is it not? Like the Padawan kills the Lord and becomes the new Sith Lord. Is that usually how it goes, right? That's what I feel like it is.
I feel like that's pretty close, yeah.
Oh, for sure. Tyler brings up a good point. He says, well, we see hints of the first Mandalorians. I mean, anything is possible.
I would like to.
I would too. And there's so much that they can do here. And
I mean, they have a blank canvas.
Right. It is a totally blank canvas. And look, I think there's a few people kind of behind the upcoming Star Wars universe that I think are great minds that have a lot of potential to make some really, really, really creative, entertaining content. But there's also what's her name? Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
And
she's been behind so many things. Like when you look her up
though, with a passion.
Yeah, but when you look up her work history though, like how much she's been involved in since 1982, something like that.
But the more I read about her and kind of her input on the new trilogy and man, she just sounds awful. And she is really most of the negativity that came from a lot of the newer movies, newer shows, really she's to blame for a lot of it. So I hope she kind of steps aside and lets Favreau and Filoni and some of these other great minds. I can't think of the writer's name behind Andor, but he's spectacular too, and I want more of that. So needless to say, I'm very excited. Now, one thing I want to talk about before we keep going here is everybody caught up on the season of Mandalorian?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I am not.
How many in are you, Rich?
3, I think.
3, okay. So like
I think I'm two behind.
We're not gonna spoil, there's no spoilers on the live show, but like generally speaking, what's everybody's vibe of this season?
So far I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, Rich. It's been a really good season. It's gotten a lot of flack. And there's certain moments where, you get to that flack and I understand where it comes from. But overall, I think it's been pretty outstanding for what I was expecting out of it. I expect it to go downhill as the seasons continue.
Yeah.
Just, what I expect.
Well,
and
especially how the last one ended.
Of my expectations.
Yeah, I am enjoying this season. However, I'm not loving this season, and I don't feel as excited and invested as I did in previous seasons. I will say that. And, at the risk, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm sure you've read, Rich, about who was in the latest episode as far as cameos go.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I try not to put too much stock in that. I mean,
no, and you can't until you see it. And then when you see it, I mean, it's it's not much better. So, I was a little let down by that episode, in particular, the last episode. Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping they rebound. But I guess we'll see. It's not. There's a lot left, and there's more meat on the bone. I like how they ended the last episode. Again, not gonna.
Yeah. What do we have? Two or 3 more episodes left in the season?
I think there's 3 more.
We'll have to do a spoiler cast once the season's over. Do a season review kind of thing.
We'll do like a Mando deep dive.
Yeah, we'll do a Mando deep dive because I've got some questions and I want to run some things past you guys and see what your takes on it are. And there's some good stuff that happens in one particular episode. And we'll wait and see.
Can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, we'll save that. We don't want to get into any spoilers, but something I just need to get into here. Okay. It's driving me insane, and I've been hearing it for so long. And the more videos I watch, the more
is this the what grinds my gears segment?
Yeah, this is what grinds my gears. And I just gotta say, okay, the motherfuckers out there, okay, that have an issue with anything in the Star Wars universe outside of the original trilogy. I look at the original trilogy hipsters where it's like you talk about get off my lawn with me last week. Like these people are the epitome of get off my lawn. Like anything outside,
it's real bad.
It was better when no one jumped.
It's ridiculous. Like anything they do. Okay, I am hearing nothing but everyone trashing on Daisy Ridley and saying that how could Disney, how could Lucasfilms, how could they possibly think that anybody wants Rey or Daisy Ridley back? And I wholeheartly disagree.
I do too.
Star Wars has one of the absolute worst fandoms.
Yes, by far. They're all pinkies up. I mean, that's all of them.
Especially when you consider how small the source material was back then. There was nothing to work off of. There were like 3 types of lightsabers. Like there was nothing fancy and fun going on. It was very bare bones.
There was no culture with books and comics and everything else that hadn't been done yet, you know. And that's the same group of people who got mad when Ewoks appeared in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yep. What are these? These are dumb. Yeah, It's like, no, they're cool. Let them.
And it's the same people that absolutely shit down the throats of anyone who had anything good to say about the prequels. Okay, they hate on Revenge of the Sith, even. Okay, and that's one of the greatest movies in the entire franchise, in my opinion. It's arrogant, it's ignorant, and the fact is, we're getting more and more Star Wars every year. We're getting new Star Wars content. And all I hear is, well, I'm not going to watch that bullshit. You absolutely will.
Yes,
and you're going to secretly like it. And then you're going to go on your channels and you're going to shit on it because it's the cool thing to do to hate on anything outside of the original trilogy. And I think it's bullshit.
To your point, though, Daisy Ridley and her, the character Rey in particular get probably more undeserved hate than probably any other Star Wars character since Jar Jar. I mean, Jar Jar was earned hate.
A little more deserved there.
The hate that Hayden Christensen got. Was he a great actor? Did he do a great job in the prequels? No, not really. But did Mark Hamill do a good job as Luke Skywalker in the original? No, not really.
Yeah, you don't necessarily watch these for the acting.
And that's the thing. It's not. I mean, Daisy Ridley is a fine actress. The issue I have is that not just her character, but I think the majority of the characters in the sequel trilogy weren't particularly well written. But that's no fault of her own. That's not the character's fault. Hopefully they can improve upon her character in this new movie. But certainly she does not deserve, just the venom that she gets online. I think
and it's insane.
Definitely undeserved.
Right. Yeah.
So here's my biggest complaint, and Tim, you and I have talked about this. My biggest complaint with the sequel trilogy when it first came out, and it still holds true, and hopefully they can rectify this with the new Rey movie. I firmly believe that she should have turned to the dark side during that trilogy. I feel like in order for her character to have a full and complete arc, that needs to happen, even if temporarily. But I feel, especially in the new movie, if she's training new Jedi, I feel like that has to be part of her arc, that she falls to the dark side for a period of time.
I think had they not scrambled on Rise of Skywalker, we would have gotten that.
It seems like that was the direction that they were going.
But I think because they brought Palpatine back, they felt that they didn't need it. And they felt that they had to go a different way. I mean, I'm going to just call this comment out. Tim's grumpy because he's drinking Gatorade. Get that man a donut and a beer. He's not
he's not in his right mind.
Yeah. You're not wrong. I'm taking the night off tonight. So in more ways than one. But no, I think when Palpatine was introduced and they kind of scrambled and said, oh shit, we killed Snoke. And they scrambled for a villain, so they just bring Ian McDermott back because he's always down. So, which I'm always down too because I love Ian McDermott. But that's part of the reason, in my opinion, IMHO, why they didn't turn Rey. I think they went a little bit of a different direction with her, and I get it, but like it was just rise. It was just. It was just so disjointed. The new trilogy was very disjointed. And I think that was a product of having too many hands in the pot rather than each individual movie being terrible, because I don't think they were.
No,
I just think the general story was disjointed.
One of the biggest complaints that I have seen online, and I think it is a legitimate complaint, is that, it seems like they didn't have an end point and they just kind of, at the last minute threw something together. And it definitely, in my eyes, feels that way. Again, I enjoy the sequel trilogy. They're fun for what they are. They're not flawless. They absolutely could have been better, but I certainly am not going to hate on them.
No.
And I'm actually like, if you haven't seen the sequel trilogy, I don't know what you're doing here, but I'm going to give a spoiler with the end of Rise of Skywalker. It's just like, reminding me of like the old Western where he gets on his horse and rides out of town, It's just Rey walking away. And I just sat there like, this isn't the ending that I want for her story. I felt like that there's so much more she can do. Is she going to lean dark side? Where is she going to go from there? To speak to Rich's point. And I'm really excited that they announced that they're going to continue that on. There's a 15-year gap, but at the same time, at least I'm going to feel a little more closure with that,
And I'm sure they'll do like this is what was going on in the meantime. Like they'll do flashbacks in that 15-year period, I'm sure. So we'll probably get some kind of montage situation to recap that.
Yeah, they're going to have to fill us in a little bit on how she got to where, because I guess, she's training Jedi. It's a brand new Jedi Order that's going to be coming about from this potentially, at least from what I'm understanding. And now everybody is so tight-lipped, and they always are, even with what's his name there that's playing Thrawn.
Oh yeah,
Lars Mikkelsen.
Yep. So Lars Mikkelsen had announced like a month ago or something that if there's ever a live action, he's not going to be doing it. Like he publicly stated that and like made it very clear. Stop the rumors. It's all nothing. I'm not doing this.
You are fake news.
Exactly.
Fake news.
And then it comes out that he is. So with that being said, we really don't know what we're going to be in store for, and anything that they're saying or leaking to us now could be completely turned around and changed by the time that it hits the screen.
And it probably
who doesn't want to see that yellow lightsaber in action?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't seen those like since the Clone Wars. That I think there's only been two. I think it's her and one other person since the Clone Wars that's had that. Like, because before, what was the Sentinels? That was about it. That had yellow lightsabers. I think it was just the Sentinels of the Jedi, the original Jedi. So
I don't know.
So I did some research on why that one is the way it is, because they have to do with their, the kyber crystals and what's going on with the user when they're harvested. They essentially link with the person and they will figure out kind of where you're at mentally with the Force, and they kind of judge you on that, and it changes color based on that. So the yellow one was used by the Jedi Sentinels. It's a mix of the two it's basically green and blue. So color wise, it doesn't make sense, but basically it's a blending of the two green and blue Jedi, lightsaber users. They were essentially, the blue was based with sword fighting, like they practiced, for the most part with sabers. The green were more on the Force. So they would try to do more diplomacy, use the Force, try to tweak the situation. The blue Jedi would just, they would just be more about the sword fight. And yellow was a mix of the two. They used both the Force and the lightsaber.
Now, when it comes to the red ones, known to be for the Sith, the red ones, I guess, were always because the kyber crystal was forced, like not just within the sense of using the Force, but it was kind of like, almost intimidated by the Force into bonding and being like, in a strangulated kind of way to bond. And that's where the red comes from my understanding with the Sith.
Yeah, so they use a technique called they bleed the stone. So essentially when they link with it, when it starts to read them, they focus all their hate into it and it changes it red.
Yep.
And the Sith are the only ones that do that. And there's a similar process for white. When you purify a red saber, it turns white. So there's a lot of cool stuff to do with the different Kyber
And of course, Ahsoka has the dual white sabers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and she's got the awesome. She's got the regular saber, and she has I think it's like Shota, something like that. The Shota saber. It's like a shorter like mini katana kind of deal. Yep.
Now, lightsabers are so cool. Now, I heard this interesting theory on lightsabers that I want to bring up with you guys, and bounce it off and hear what you think. So, you ever noticed in some scenes in the movie where lightsabers will barely do any damage, almost deflect off of armor even, and then other times, like they can cut through a blast door in a matter of seconds.
Yes.
You know, there was once an explanation I heard about that said lightsabers work like a regular sword. Like it's not just a pure beam of energy on all sides. It has a blunt flat side, and then it has almost like a bladed end or a double-sided blade. And based on the angle at which the wielder is using it, it will determine whether it cuts through or if it has the potential to bounce off of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard that before, but I wondered about that sometimes because you see lightsaber battles. You see the time when like Luke and Darth Vader are fighting and it deflects off of Darth Vader's shoulder without cutting his complete arm off. Like, how does that not slice through him like butter?
Yeah, it's like a glancing blow. It just ricochets off.
I mean, now it can, you know, probably retroactively be Beskar. You know, that's kind of the
Vader would do that. He would pay an exorbitant amount of money to get some Mandalorian armor.
Yeah,
and it's melted.
So,
the old greasy palm. He rolls up with a forge. You know, he just opens his checkbook. He's like, "How much to make this armor? There you go, make it."
Yeah, but there's also lightsaber guns and blasters, lightsaber blasters out there that, you know, have been part of the, you know, more of the, like the side stories and the legends and the books and things like that. But that is definitely a thing that I was really interested in learning more about. And I'm hoping that they bring that to a screen through, like, I was hoping the Acolyte delivers something on that. I don't know what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Like, that we haven't even, like, there's a whip one. There's a friggin' lightsaber whip.
I saw that.
It's like, that's like, where is that? Can we get that on a main character now?
Yeah. Like, it would be cool for them to go into some detail about the creation of lightsabers and that process, and
where it comes from, how where was the first one created? And that's the thing, we might get that with the first Jedi,
right? I'm hoping we do.
I want to call attention to something here. We got hey Donnelly. Bob Barker called me, wants his microphone back.
Race is wrong, Bobby.
Yeah, they want to get on that
one. Bob's gonna have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands.
He might. You see him in Happy Gilmore?
I think I could take a punch from Bob Barker right now.
I think you've had enough. No, now you've had it. Bitch.
The dry, ashy skin on his knuckle would just like scrape and cut you.
Just cut you. Imagine an elbow, one of Bob Barker's elbows.
Ashy, dry old man elbow right to the eye socket.
His elbows are probably sharp.
That's what I'm saying. I bet he cuts his sheets. I bet he sleeps in silk sheets and those things get cut up. I bet
they're like lightsabers slicing through.
Yeah, it's worse than a lightsaber, honestly. It's probably sharper. Not many things on this planet sharper than a Bob Barker elbow. You definitely don't want to get caught with one of those.
Cuts to the quick.
Yeah. I'm having way too much fun with the sound effects.
It's everything you've ever wanted.
This is everything I've ever wanted.
You're on the game show now.
Just to be able to hit the sound effects. I mean, I'm in all my glory. Like, I could do a whole show just pressing those buttons.
So you're telling me if I said like, oh, you know, I was just hanging out eating a bunch of beans today, like, no problem, really. Just thank you.
You're welcome. I got you.
You got me.
It's all cute up.
I know your boy likes his beans.
Everybody just don't make this motion. Yep, there it is.
Okay, I promise I'm done. I'm done.
You are promising you can't back up.
Yeah, that being said,
can I get a spaghetti sound effect for next episode?
Yeah, you got to record it and send it to me. Or we'll just do the original spaghetti.
Get there. Spaghetti.
So, what else from Star Wars Celebration has got you guys excited before we move on?
So I know you previously stated you didn't care for her, but Kathleen Kennedy did mention that the Lando series is still happening.
Yeah,
So listen,
I don't know if I believe it though.
Well, I'm hopeful. Spaghetti. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to get a sound effect for next episode.
That's like, but still,
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Listen, Solo was an unnecessary movie. I don't think it was a bad movie. That's another movie that gets a lot of hate. I thought it was pretty good, completely unnecessary. I think Lando was one of the showstoppers in that movie, and I would love to see a Lando series. So hopefully that is accurate, and there is a Lando series still happening.
Yep.
Yeah. Patrick actually brings up a good point too. The new season of Visions.
Oh,
Yep.
right, Visions. Yep, season 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. Yep.
Yes, good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Bad Batch, 3rd and final season.
Yep.
So that's another show I started watching and kind of fell off on it. I need to catch up.
Same here.
I don't know. Like you said, the animated series, I start watching them, and then a little ways into them, the live action series just kind of take precedent.
Yeah, for sure. What's up, Monty? I agree. There's just a lot to sink your teeth into, and like some of these things that were announced may not even happen by the time, some of these projects aren't even happening until 2024, 25, 26. So like, we don't know what the evolution of these things are going to be until we get there. So like, I'm not holding my breath. I guarantee you they make the Rey one though. Like
they better.
That one's
They better make the
definitely gonna
Mandalorian movie that they kind of pitched too. That better come to fruition.
Did they though? Like I'm hearing a lot of that, but did they?
Yeah.
So
I definitely thought they did.
To my ears, what it sounded like is it may tie in, but the Mandalorian it's not going to be the finale to the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian may have a part to it. It's going to be set in that same time, but it sounds like they're trying to position it as something a little bit independent of the Mandalorian.
Okay. I mean, it's Filoni and Favreau together.
Right.
It's gonna be great.
It's
So I mean, almost certainly, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett are going to play into it, but it seems like they're already trying to, get our expectations that it's not going to be Mando centric.
Mm-hmm.
See, and I don't need it to be like Din Djarin focused or even Boba Fett focused. Like, I just want 2 hours of Mandalorians just going out kicking ass, living up to the creed,
and we might get some of that. It sounds like it's going to be more, in a general sense, New Republic focused.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So which I'm all for. I think that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And when you get caught up on Mandalorian, I'm not going to spoil
it. Is the
anything.
way
When you
for
get
sure.
caught up, you'll get a better picture too of kind of where you think things are going to go. So like, yeah, there's some good stuff coming for the next few episodes for you.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Well, not all good stuff coming, but
I didn't. Whatever. I mean,
that last episode was trash. That's some of the worst shit I've ever seen on television.
Worst of the season. I'll just say that.
It was terrible. The acting was horrible. The it didn't do anything to progress the story until the final scene of the episode. It was shoehorning in 3 cameos, and they all did horrible. It was just awful. Like, I give it 2 thumbs down. Worst,
2 Entomans squished.
Yeah, worst episode of Mandalorian by far, and probably the worst episode of any Star Wars series I've seen yet. And I don't think it's close.
Woof.
I don't know. That biker scene.
It was fine to me.
Yeah.
Really didn't like that biker episode of Boba Fett.
I didn't either, but it was better than that. Better than what we just got on that episode.
That was a little hokey.
Yeah.
It was hokey. Definitely was. You think that's hokey? Just wait. Wait. I can't wait to hear your opinion on this. But yeah, enough of shitting on poor Jack Black and Christopher Lloyd and what the hell is her name?
Lizzo.
Jesus Christ.
I was really happy to see Christopher Lloyd. That
I was
great.
too.
I
I
was-
was excited that he was.
I was
there.
happy to see him until he started talking. And I was like,
All right.
somebody, please, like, what
Well,
is going on?
let me know how you do when you're that old.
Like, I used to think I wanted like a Back to the Future newer movie or remake or something, some reboot of some sort or a sequel.
Dennis the Menace sequel where he plays the homeless man again.
And then I'm
That's
like,
what I
okay,
want.
I was always concerned about Michael J. Fox and like how awful he would be with the Parkinson's. But then you see Christopher Lloyd in the last episode, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy can't do a movie.
Oh,
I mean,
he-
to be
oh,
fair,
what?
how old is Christopher Lloyd?
He's very old.
109,
Yeah, it was at least 117.
106, yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
So I shouldn't hold my breath for a Who Framed Roger Rabbit sequel, huh?
Oh man, it was so good in that.
Why don't they do that?
I don't think kids know
Because they're
that
too
already.
busy taking good movies and remaking them.
Yeah, but like that's a great movie they can remake.
No one
Speaking of
knows who
doing
he.
that. Speaking of remakes, did you guys see they're doing a live action of Moana?
Yes,
Yeah,
allegedly
With The
the
Rock
Rock. The
being-
Rock. Yeah.
yeah.
The movie's been out, or the movie's been out for what, a few years? Like
It's-
we're just
Yeah,
now
I think-
getting a fucking Little Mermaid.
I still want it.
I want a Little Mermaid. Yeah, we're
No,
just
I
getting
want.
it.
I don't care. I want Moana. I don't care about Little Mermaid.
It's too
I
soon,
think
man.
I think Disney needs to chill out with the live action remakes.
And also, The Rock needs to chill out and like why
Yeah.
don't you just sit down and drink
He
his
can't.
Terramana at home and
Because
see
his muscles will
kids and his
explode if he
wife
sits
and
down.
like enjoy life a little. You don't need to make a movie every other week.
I mean, that could be an episode of Rock Fatigue.
Yeah, right.
There's no bigger fatigue out there than Rock
Yeah.
fatigue.
You have to
It's
buy
up there
so
with
much
Vin-
cod.
It's up there with Vin Diesel fatigue. And I know you've got Chris Pratt fatigue, but
I
like
do a little bit.
I
I
do
tell
what I
you,
don't.
Super Mario Brothers didn't
Same.
help that.
You saw Super Mario Brothers and you've got something negative to say?
I didn't think that.
Okay, Rich, time out for a second.
Fight.
All right.
All right, so not negative. It
I want
was
to hear
it
your
was a
opinion.
it was a solid movie. I enjoyed it. I think it built a solid foundation for what is inevitably going to be a MCU style shared universe that Nintendo is creating.
You don't like that?
I didn't say I didn't like that. I just said it was a solid foundation. I don't think it was great. I think it was good. I'm still not. So I don't think any of the voice actors did a particularly fantastic job. I think Jack Black did the best as Bowser, but even he felt a little bit flatter than he typically is. Usually he's very energetic, animated. Didn't seem to be his usual self. Again, it wasn't terrible. All the voice actors were serviceable, but
Serviceable.
Chris Pratt's Mario certainly didn't change my opinion.
Okay, so change your opinion of what? What was your opinion? That he didn't set
Well,
the whole,
I think.
did you want to
well,
see a movie?
I think
An
a couple
entire
episodes
movie?
ago, I mentioned that I wasn't completely sold on the idea of Chris Pratt as Mario.
Because you
and
hate
having
Chris Pratt.
I don't hate Chris Pratt.
You
I'm
hate
kind of
it.
there with Rich. I mean,
I don't think it. I will say this. I think it was better than I expected, but I still am not sold on Chris Pratt as Mario.
and I agree. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it tomorrow, so no spoilers for anything.
I'm
but-
leaning the same way Rich is, but I want to see it before I.
Here's the deal.
It was good. It was solid, and the inevitable sequels and spin-offs, I'm sure, will improve upon it.
Mhm.
I'm excited for where it's going to go.
So
Charlie Day was fantastic.
He's great in everything.
Yeah, I love Charlie Day. I did forget about him. He was another bright spot as Luigi. So
Princess Toadstool was pretty damn good. Peach.
it could have
Thanks, Rich.
it could have been any voice actor. She did nothing with the role. I don't think.
I didn't
I
really
agree.
believe
Rich
she was
has
in
had
it.
enough of these damn kids on his lawn.
You just telling me she was.
I absolutely have.
I'm gonna rant again real quick. I'll keep this very short, okay? And I know this is a Star Wars celebration, but this is also a fucking Mario celebration. And what movie out there can give you more nostalgia than a live action Mario movie? First of all, and then
Ready
again,
Player One?
no spoilers.
Ready Player One.
The
Stop.
Ready Player One is fantastic.
Got a ton of nostalgia for that.
Not
Listen,
more nostalgia than the Mario did.
Listen, for every reference that my kids got, I got 3 or 4. I love the Easter eggs. It was a really good movie.
Okay, so you went from like to really good.
No, it's still good. Do you want my score, my rating?
Give me your score.
7.0.
Okay, I think that's fair.
It's a good movie.
I think that's fair. Okay.
It was flawed.
The way you started, it was. I think you've come up a little. You've come up a little, but anyway.
I think from the get-go, he said it was a solid foundation for what's to come. And, a 7.0 makes a solid foundation for what's to come, really. You know?
I think
it made a ton of money. So we are absolutely going to see sequels and spin-offs.
Yes.
They certainly set up an entire Donkey Kong series spin-off.
Yep. Well, easy. But
we know Donkey Kong's in the movie.
Well, yeah, of course. But listen, the movie. This is what I'm hearing a lot of. For anyone who's like knocking it, I'm not saying you're knocking it, even though you are.
A little bit.
But the movie looked amazing. Okay.
Oh, the visuals were fantastic.
Yeah, it looked amazing. The music, the music, all the.
I'm gonna come back. No, go ahead. I'm gonna come back to the music.
Okay. So the music, the sound effects, okay, all just hit that vein, that little nostalgic vein where you hear it and you're like, oh my god, like I can't think of his name, but the sorcerer.
I need to pause you for a minute. So Tyler, Pedro Pascal, I want him as Wario in the next movie. Jack Black suggested it, and I think it's a fantastic.
That'd be amazing.
Yes, I agree. Now, if you let me fucking talk for more than 30 seconds
before I forget, Lou Albano should have played.
Jesus Christ! Can I just finish my
Lou
thought?
Albano?
Okay, Captain Lou, fantastic. So, the fucking issue with Mario that I'm hearing is that the story wasn't good, right?
That's not what I'm saying. I didn't say that. Continue.
You said it was decent foundation, could have been better.
It wasn't a great story. Pratt. I didn't say it was bad. It wasn't fantastic. It was.
You didn't like Chris Pratt, okay? And people have a problem with Mario's voice, right? So let me just ask you this. Would you have wanted an entire movie of Mario? Let's go.
Oh, yes, I would.
2 hours.
That would have been great.
No, it wouldn't have been. Right. Absolutely not. They did a great job, and they made it tasteful by putting it in the commercial, which was also nostalgic as hell. Stop hating. It's Mario. I want all the spinoffs. I want Pedro Pascal as Wario too. Fuck it. God. Give me it all. Let's go.
So my final thoughts. I know we kind of got off on a tangent. So my final thoughts. 1, I would have liked to see more of the characters in the Mushroom Kingdom. And 2, the music. There is almost 40 years of iconic Mario music.
Yep.
I didn't need to hear Bonnie Tyler's Holding Out for a Hero or Aha's Take on Me in a Mario movie. I love both of those songs. I love both of those songs. I did not need to see or hear either of those.
Come on, though. That was great.
It wasn't.
They could have infused some of the original Nintendo soundtrack more maybe into it, made their own original soundtrack for it, but yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's right though. They have definitely so many years of great music, and the music is really, really intricate too. If you look into what was put into composing the Mario themes across the different games.
I bought the soundtrack to when Mario 64 came out. I used my Nintendo Power magazine and I bought the soundtrack. So I have Star Fox 64. I've got Mario. I've got 3 discs of the Mario soundtrack. It came with a ton of it. And yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Like it's like jazz versions of the underwater level. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Team Super Nintendo, my ass. Hating on Chris Pratt, hating on Mario, telling me it's the worst movie ever made.
If anything, I'm saying the opposite. I wanted it to be more Nintendo.
Oh, I love it.
But I do gotta agree though. Chris Pratt really surprised me when he was announced as Mario. I did not see that working from the get-go.
I was mad originally. Tim had a
loved him as Emmett in the Lego movies. Those are fantastic movies. thought he did an absolutely amazing job.
Yep. He's
Kind
great
of
as
fell
Star
flat
Lord.
in Mario.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my Mario score 7.6, so not that much higher, but I think it's deserving. 7.6, and here's the deal: like, what kind of story are you going to get from Mario? Like, the story was what it was.
Wahoo!
It was just a nostalgia ride, beginning to end. But Jesus Christ! But that being said, let's move on from Super Mario. I had to. I have to just shoehorn it in wherever I can.
There's no bad time to make that sound effect either.
No,
there really isn't.
When an old man falls down, when you spill your drink in your lap while you're recording, just
I want to go back to a comment I saw here. So this is something I actually saw. Jack Black wants to make a Red Dead Redemption movie, and I support this. So I read this a couple days ago.
That'd be amazing.
So something that we had originally planned to kind of talk about on this week's show is we were going to talk about like live action takes on games, things like The Last of Us. Obviously, that's a good example. Red Dead Redemption, Mario. There's a lot of that happening, and like we had Star Wars Celebration weekend, so we kind of changed course. But like I do want to touch on it a little bit. How awesome, first of all, would it be to have Dutch? Come on, Dutch. In live
Flat Arthur.
Oh my God. I want to play that clip so bad.
Oh, it's the
but
best.
I'm not going to. But man, I'd be all for that. And I hope they do it. And I feel like the possibilities are endless right now.
I want it to be kind of like how the first Last of Us episode made me feel like a scene for scene from the game. I want that to happen with Red Dead.
Because the story is too perfect not to do that with. It'd be insulting the source material to do anything besides a shot for shot. And they can get creative with the camera angles because it was a video game. So you saw it from all these wacky, weird camera angles, which you could totally use just drones to shoot half of it. Like, it would be incredible.
Rich really wished the characters weren't so blocky in that leg. I love it.
Fucking eat it.
Oh my God, I love it.
The Last of Us was fantastic. I actually just started playing the game. I watched the show first, and I'm not too far into the game, but I'm loving that it's essentially shot for shot. And from what I've been told, that carries on through the entire series, which is fantastic. I mean, I think The Last of Us proved that it is possible to do a serious video game adaptation, and I think the Sonic and Mario movies have proved that it's possible to do a successful video game movie that does justice to the source material that has mass appeal.
Right.
So
I agree. And, I think about it too, is like a lot of the games that have been, Last of Us was the first game I played that the storyline really hooked me in a game. Like, storylines were good before the Metal Gear, saga comes to mind when I think of good storylines, but nothing.
What an amazing movie that would make.
Right. I know. I thought the same thing. As I said it. Yeah. The emotional connection that I developed to the characters in the Last of Us game was unparalleled for me by comparison to any other game I've ever played. And still to this day, nothing has gotten that emotional connection to those characters that I got in Last of Us. And that's why they were able to use that material. And the same thing applies to Red Dead, is they can use that same material because those characters were so compelling, because the story was so perfect.
And they were written realistic. Like they were real people. That's why they were interesting. They weren't these caricature people. They were as real as it gets. And that's like, think about like, who would you use the voice actors for the actors, or would you get recasting? Or
I mean, I would open it up and allow for recasting. I would have to have them comparable to the original voice actors, kind of similar to how, Pedro Pascal kind of pulls off a Joel sound when he's, talking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it would have to be something comparable to that. I don't think the casting was great for Last of Us. Just, maybe that's Maybe that's a bad opinion, but
that's a good fan cast right there.
Ellie, I thought was the worst casting choice ever.
Thank you. Oh,
she's terrible.
Thank you.
That's why I don't really like the show, is because every time I look at her, I'm like, why her? She does not.
Oh wait, you don't like the show?
No, I do like the show, but that's the piece of the show I don't like.
Was a different actress.
Has everyone finished it? We're not going to spoil. I'm not going to give spoilers.
Again, having watched the show first before I ever played the game, I didn't know another Ellie, another version of Ellie, and I thought she did a fantastic job.
And I can see coming in without having that prior basis to set it up against. Mm-hmm. I'm sure she does, but I have the original Ellie, who I thought Ellen Page would have been a perfect casting for. But young Ellen Page.
That girl was a great actress, personally.
I'm not saying she isn't. It's just
she's great. Yeah,
I disagree. I don't think
I think she's great, but I think they could have picked anyone.
I think she. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with Dan. I think she did a really fantastic job.
No complaints.
All the scenes with her and Joel, that father-daughter dynamic. I think they both nailed it.
I don't know. Her face looks doughy, and I want to punch it.
Well, then
now you just get to watch the show and root against her.
Final word on that one.
Hey, whatever.
Face looks doughy, and I want to punch it. Yep. Well, I mean, I get it. But listen,
Whoop.
I think The Last of Us was super overrated. I think it was good. I enjoyed it. There was some really dumb. All right. I'm not going to give my full opinion on this. I'm just going to say this. I think there was some things that were forced down my throat that I didn't care for. And I honestly thought it had that Game of Thrones level where it was must see. Oh, Last of Us tonight. It was that bandwagon show. Everybody jump on or else you're missing out, the FOMO show. And I just think it was good. Pedro Pascal was literally made the entire damn show. It would be nothing without him.
I agree.
And I just don't think it was that great. I think the episodes were very disjointed. I don't think it was a cohesive story. And I think it's being put on a pedestal unlike any show I've seen since Game of Thrones, which is also very overrated, in my opinion. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Don't really give a shit if they do a second one. If they do, I'll probably watch it. But I'm not going to be on the edge of my seat waiting for the next episode. I think it got far too much hype, and it fell victim to what a lot of shows and movies, for that matter, where they get hyped and put up so high that it's almost doomed by the time you actually watch the damn thing. But overall, solid show, not must-see TV, not going down as one of the greatest series of all times. There's people that earmarked certain episodes of Last of Us to say, oh, that was just the greatest piece of television I've ever seen. Get the fuck out of here.
I heard that from multiple places, and I just cannot. I don't see it. It was good.
Can we get a Max Payne reboot?
Oh, man.
I would be all
if
for
they did that right, yeah.
Who was in the first one? Mark
Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah. Yep. But that being said, we wanted to do a little ranking. Anything you guys want to add to anything before I move on here?
Yeah, just that you're wrong.
You're wrong about The Last of Us.
Wow, that was in stereo.
Yeah. What, you
Make
both
sure you
said
heard
it?
it. We both said the same thing at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
All right. The people who are right are on top of the screen. The people who are wrong are on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I agree.
Chaotic neutral.
I agree, and I gotta bite my tongue. I'm gonna bite my tongue.
Oh,
but,
there's a comment about a siphon filter movie, and that's
to
put that out there. Gabe Logan.
Who would be Gabe?
Man, I would have said Pierce Brosnan, but I don't know if he could do it anymore.
Ooh. Yeah, he can. Did you see him as Dr. Fate?
Yeah.
I feel like it needs to be somebody a little grittier.
Who would you choose?
I don't know.
That's something to think about. We should put that on our Facebook. We should put a poll on our Facebook. Come over, Matters. We'll get a poll
somebody a little older, little grizzled.
Yes.
They definitely have some seasoning under their belt. I don't know. I would love a siphon filter movie. That'd be amazing.
As long as they electrocute and set somebody on fire with the taser in the movie, that has to happen.
I don't know. It's just what a time to be alive. What a time to be a fan of nostalgia, because they just keep remaking everything. Old movies, old shows, video games to the big screen now. Like the opportunities are endless. We could literally do an entire weekly show only talking about things that they need to make movies out of.
I mean, heck, we could probably do a show just talking about the remastering of Resident Evil. They just keep doing it.
Yeah.
That's another game I need to dive into. Just haven't had time to play it yet.
A little fatigued with the movies though. Like it's a little too soon. How many times are they going to do that?
Yeah.
It's a little overkill.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Ooh.
They're still fun. John Barron.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he wasn't still playing the Punisher, which he is, I think that might be a shoo-in, but it's almost, too similar. I mean, I think Punisher is probably a little bit more brutal, but similar style.
If we see him in another thing now, he's going to enter Pratt territory where people are going to start getting sick of him because he's in everything.
Right. And he plays the same character.
I could totally see that. But he's awesome as the Punisher.
Yeah.
I absolutely love him as the Punisher. I loved him in Walking Dead, when he was Shane in that show. Like, he's always good to me.
Mm-hmm. Wait until they start remaking remakes. I think they already are. Yeah. Which is crazy.
Evil Dead. We're on the third version.
How do we not talk about that?
And it looks awesome.
It does look amazing.
The last one was
completely rewriting it though.
It's early reviews have been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, which is very rare for horror. That never happens with horror.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny?
A good horror movie is like a 6 out of 10.
It doesn't look like that campy horror that I really enjoyed about the original, Evil Dead.
Well, that's the thing. It looks like they're going in more of a serious direction, which is fine as long as it's a solid movie.
It's but yeah, I mean, right.
Bruce Campbell. I mean, he's classic.
Is he in it?
I don't know.
Not that
my understanding is Bruce Campbell's not making an appearance in the new one either. It's still Sam Raimi, though. I thought, right? Sam Raimi's still doing the.
I believe so.
Directing or producing or something. He's got his hand in it. But,
he is involved, yeah.
Yeah, I loved the last one too. The first remake they did of it. It was incredible in my opinion.
It was, yeah.
It was really good.
Ash versus Evil Dead. I don't know if anybody caught that. That was great.
Yep.
Yeah, like I'm all in on that.
They make Evil Dead figures, right, Dan?
No, but I'm
NECA, and they are
good stuff too.
They're real good.
So much detail too. Like it was like seeing the Spawn action figures. Like when you saw how much detail goes into like the rotted,
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
Yep, and you got that nice fancy display case right behind you. You can dedicate a nice horror shelf. Yep.
Yeah, we got 2 more weeks of Simpsons coming.
So this right here, real quick, and then we'll get to our rankings. There needs to be a movie about the Last Ronin who teams up with Samurai Bunny, Usagi Yojimbo. So.
There's a connoisseur right there.
That is, and I love it. Monty, you got to come on the show. But listen, I think are going to get a Last Ronin movie. We're getting the open world game, right?
Which is amazing.
Like that is blowing my mind. Open world Ninja Turtles game, like Jesus Christ.
And gritty.
Where have you been all my life? I cannot wait. What a like, there's no better opportunity to come out with a movie. If they piggyback off the success of that game, which I'm assuming it will be successful, if you're following in Shredder's Revenge, who expected that to do as well as it did?
I mean, that's
Cowabunga
fantastic.
Collection. Yeah, fantastic.
Konami just announced that they sold 1 million units of the Cowabunga Collection.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Wow.
That's Bob.
Which is
Nova.
Yeah.
Wow.
That just tells me that it stands up beyond just us, because I bought it, and I'm sure you guys did too.
Yeah, I mean,
but
my kids
beyond that, it means that the next generation of gamers has also purchased it. To hit those numbers.
Well, my kids, I beat the game with both of my kids. Yeah. We played it together and we beat the game. Shredder's Revenge, not Cowabunga Collection. That would be impressive. But that first Turtles game, woo!
Yeah,
that's a rough one. But that being said, shall we get into our ranking?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All right. So what we thought we would do, first of all, let me just cue up the music here, but what we thought would be fun would be to rank we ranked Star Wars characters a few weeks back. Didn't want to do that. Didn't want to be overly redundant. But based on the Star Wars Celebration weekend, what we wanted to do was rank something. And what we came up with, was it you, Dan? Was it your idea?
I think so, it was Dan's idea, yeah.
Yep.
Something a little different. We're going to give you our top 3 Star Wars universe lightsabers. Our favorite top 3 lightsabers of the Star Wars universe. Not the best, but our top 3, our favorites. So
we're nothing without our opinions, Tim.
That is true. And I know I don't have a really strong opinion. I definitely don't talk over anyone or yell. But I'm going to share my opinion tonight too.
Hell yeah.
But tonight, guess what? I'm going to start us off. And I'm going to start us off with number 3.
All right.
Top 3 lightsabers. These are our favorites, not the best, as a reminder, of all time within the Star Wars universe. My number 3, and I'm going to hear a little low from somebody, but I'm going with the Darth Maul lightsaber as my number 3.
That's a solid one.
Is it one of the coolest? Yeah, of course it is. And could it be higher? Would I hate you for making the case that it should be higher? Absolutely not.
Should be.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I'll explain myself. I'll explain myself as to why it's number 3. It's deserving of the top 3, no question about it. But it doesn't hold that. It's not special like some of the ones that are higher on my list. Not as special. But that's my number 3. Donnelly, number 3.
Number 3 for me is the spinning hilt double-ended lightsaber with the bladed edge that was carried by the third sister.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was my first introduction to not only just the spinning lightsaber on screen, but also having a bladed edge, so it was more versatile. Now, what makes the third sister's spinning lightsaber unique from the rest of the Inquisitors is it separates into 2 individual lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always fascinated by that as well, and that's why I put that at my number 3.
That's a cool one. Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Can we do to see more like that stuff in the movies too? Like I want to see these interesting, new ones that we're starting to see finally,
I agree. That being said, Dan, number 3.
Number 3, my third favorite is Chris Pratt. He's a really good lightsaber. People said he couldn't do it, but man, he pulled it off. I'm gonna go with Rey's yellow lightsaber. I gotta go with Rey's yellow lightsaber. One, because the Sentinel Order was really cool in Star Wars, but also because it's perfect for Rey's character, where she, for the most part, figures out ultimately where she's supposed to be and what her path is, and it culminates into a different situation for her because she has that raw power, but she's also, she's very in tune with it. So she has both sides. So she's getting the 2 colors. And if you notice something, when you watch the movie, when she turns it on for the first time, if you slow it down, when she flicks it over, you see both blue and green inside the hilt.
Oh.
And then it turns yellow at the last minute. So it doesn't know where to put her until the last second. And then it goes out yellow. And yeah, really cool character. I mean, the fact that she's, both offensive and defensive, uses the Force and is really talented with the lightsaber. Like, yeah.
Just want to take a moment to appreciate this. Love your number 3. I respect it. It was a near miss, but this was a great scene from that Star Wars movie that Chris Pratt was in.
There he is.
Is he going to be in one? I feel like if there's anyone that's going to wedge himself in it,
he's in everything these days, so I'm sure he will be.
I wouldn't be mad. I mean, Jack Black got a friggin' appear. Lizzo.
Jack Black rules.
Based on his recent track record, he's just going to play Star-Lord, and they're going to call it, call his character something else, but it's going to be the same essential character. Anyway, I don't hate Chris Pratt. I like Chris Pratt.
You hate him so much. But that being said, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Mace Windu's purple lightsaber.
Yeah. I had a weird feeling. I thought Donnelly was going to have that.
Me too.
So a couple reasons.
Near miss for me.
Sam Jackson.
Yeah,
he's a badass.
Yep.
He, the man, the person makes the lightsaber. It's an instrument that's in and of itself is nothing.
Right.
Mace Windu is awesome. Also, it was the first time on screen that we saw a color other than blue, green, or red. So it was a big deal. We're like, wow, this guy is obviously special, obviously means something. He's got this purple lightsaber that nobody else has. Also, purple's my favorite color, so that's my number 3.
Very cool.
I just got to chime in that I believe that Samuel L. Jackson was going to refuse to play the role unless he got a purple lightsaber.
Really?
that sounds about right.
I've heard back and forth different little movie making lore pieces about how he ended up with purple. Because like some people say like he demanded it, some people say like they offered or asked him which color he wanted. Like it just depends on who you ask, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know if he's we'll have to find out on YouTube, like if he's weighed in somewhere in an interview, which
how he's actually said what the true story is.
That'd be cool to figure out because
kind of one of those neat like Star Wars lore things. You never know. We probably never will know what the true answer to that is, but
yeah, I do know there is at least one other known purple lightsaber user. His name was Hulik, Huulik. I don't know where he's from or what he does, but let's see. It was and fun fact, Luke Skywalker found Hulik's lightsaber and he accidentally broke it trying to dismantle it and figure out why it was purple. So now there is only one purple lightsaber.
That is interesting.
As long as Mace Windu's alive, I don't remember.
Mace Windu?
Yeah.
Oh no, he's not alive.
He passed. Did he pass away?
He definitely got
passed
thrown out that zapped out that window by.
That's right.
Sure did.
Yeah.
There's rumors of his return.
There are rumors of his return.
And it's Star Wars, so they can bring anyone back. But that being said, let's get to our number 2. My number 2 is the Mandalorian Dark Saber.
Yep.
Listen, doesn't have the history yet, but man, what a different take.
Yep.
So up until this Dark Saber, all we've really seen was, okay, this guy's got a lightsaber, but he's Kylo Ren. He's got the 2 sticking out like a sword on the handles, or Maul has a double. Or there's one, there you go. I love it. Hey, I don't disagree. Mace Windu may not have died in that scene, but I'd love to see it. But that being said, the Dark Saber is just such a unique take, and I love just the little nuances throughout the Mandalorian, like such as like Mando carrying it a certain way, but then Bo-Katan carries it different. Like I don't want to give anything away, but like. Yeah. Man, what they're doing with it, and there's going to be way more lore behind that. Yeah. And I can't wait.
I want to love it. I don't love the visual effect that they use for it. It's I don't know. Yeah. It's just off.
See, what I like about it is that it's the first lightsaber I've seen with like almost a chisel tip on the end.
Yeah.
All the other ones just kind of seem like they're blunted off to the end of it, but then the dark saber is like a pointed blade.
Yeah, it was crafted by the Mandalorian, so they did it differently. They crafted it the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren.
There's actually speculation that it's even a lightsaber at all. We don't know if it has a kyber crystal in it at all. We don't know what it runs on. I don't believe.
It runs on Duncan.
It could run on Duncan for all I know. So it won't be running long.
Well, that being said, Donnelly, you're number 2.
My number 2, Tyler's going to absolutely hate because I do enjoy the hilt. And that was one thing that I always said to myself, if I was fighting with a lightsaber, all I would do is slide it down the blade and cut off your hand.
Exactly.
Because if I'm fighting you and we're locking sabers, I'm just going to go, and you've got nothing to stop me. You've got nothing to stop me.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. Protection.
So that's your number 2?
That's my number 2, Kylo Ren's lightsaber. It was the first time I saw a different styled lightsaber on screen that involved multiple blades. It wasn't just your standard double-ended one.
Mm-hmm.
Popular opinion, but it's the truth.
Also, a fun fact about Kylo Ren's lightsaber is if you watch the movie, it's more red than any other lightsaber because he had more hate.
Yes.
At the time of his, plucking of the kyber or whatever.
He hated his father. He hated
everything. Yeah, he hated everything.
Yeah.
So if you watch it, it's actually like extremely red. And then we would look at Vader's, whatever. It's red, but it's not. Yeah, it's not like blood red.
That being said,
drinking
game. When I say that being said, I didn't realize I said that a lot, but That being said, Dan, number 2.
Now you're going to be in your own head about it, and you're going
I
to
am
try
going
to
to
come
be
up
in
with
my
a
own
different.
head. God
Number
damn
two.
it.
Number 2, Ahsoka's lightsaber. It's got to be. It's got to be the.
Mm.
So fun fact: she, as far as I know, so far she's had 3 different color sabers. The current one in her adult life is white, I believe. So yeah, that one's really cool, and that she got that by killing. Hold on, who did she kill? I wrote it down here. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have the name on the top of my head, but she ended up killing some Sith guy or whatever, some Sith dude, and she killed. she exploded his lightsabers. He had two red, lightsabers, and she exploded them with the Force and took the kyber crystals and cleansed them and turned them into her own. So she killed the dude with her bare hands and then took his lightsaber crystals and then forged them into, pure white lightsaber, which is really
badass.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and she took both because she has a regular lightsaber and then her Shoto blade, this little short one. So she took both. Yeah.
Wow.
That's my number 2 because she's badass and that's so
awesome.
cool.
I mean, Ahsoka's such a badass character.
I can't wait. We have to wait till August.
I know. 4 months.
It's too long.
I know. It's going to be worth it though because it's going to be so cool.
It's
Like,
going to
it
be so
is.
worth it.
Number 2, Rich.
Darth Maul,
Okay.
the double-bladed lightsaber. Kind of similar to Mace Windu, that it was the first of its kind that we had seen on screen. There had never been anything other than just the standard single-bladed lightsaber, and that moment when they're on Naboo and he ignites that second blade.
Oh man,
you're like, it's
how do you
on.
think that?
Yeah, you're like, this guy's not going to be a pushover.
Yeah.
How do you fight?
Yeah, I mean that moment. I mean, say what you will about the Phantom Menace. I definitely think it gets more hate than it deserves. But that moment there, when he ignites that second blade, like, oof, all right, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked so menacing too. Just
I know.
Yeah.
What
his
great
head
makeup for that character. Like
Ray Park. We need to see more of him.
yeah.
And I don't think he said a single line too, which was extra. Like
Yeah.
he made him even more scary because like he's not even going to try to talk to you about it. He's just going to come at you.
I think he said,
Baby,
at last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi.
Yeah,
I
something
think that was it.
Propaganda-y. Yeah. He
Yeah.
drank the Kool-Aid.
oh, he's so good though.
I love me some Ray Park. I realized we weren't on the big screen when I did this, but
Yes.
this
There
is
you
the autographed Ray Park. It's signed Ray Park and Darth Maul, so we signed it twice.
That's
That's
Um,
amazing.
Fantastic. It's one of my favorite signed Star Wars pieces. I love that. So I respect the hell out of that pick. That lightsaber is badass as all hell. Has to be in your top 3. But that being said, we are down to number 1. And I guarantee you, well, I don't know. I won't guarantee anything. I don't know. All I'll say is my number 1, it is not Luke, not Vader.
No, I mean, yeah, if you've been paying attention to
I know
the
who it
show,
is.
Yeah, I mean,
I know who you have as your number 1.
You do?
The Wookiee one, right?
No.
little chode saber.
Do you want to say it or do you want me to guess it first?
Try to guess.
Count Dooku's bent hilt sword.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Yeah, it's
And
a
then-
chode saber.
His what? His chode saber.
Listen,
His sawed-off shotgun saber.
that lightsaber is awesome. I don't know how you say that.
It was actually, I was gonna put it as like my number 5 if we did 5, but
I love it. I love Count Dooku. I think, honestly, outside of all of Chancellor Palpatine's stuff, Dooku is one of the best pieces of that prequel trilogy. I absolutely love it. It was a phenomenal casting for Lucas to get somebody that's older, wiser, kind of had that certain way about him. And he just killed it. He's one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe. If we had a top 10 list, he was going to be probably 6 or 7 when we ranked those a few weeks back. But love that lightsaber. Coming in later, obviously, I'll wait till you guys give your rankings. But that's my number 1, Count Dooku. Donnelly, hit us with your number 1.
My number 1 we've already talked about, and like you said earlier, Tim, it should be on everybody's top 3 list. And that's definitely the Darth Maul double-ended lightsaber. First on screen of its kind. The fact that it splits in half and still fully functions as 2 individual lightsabers after it gets broken.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just saw that on screen, and I saw him doing his tricks where he's like stopping it from both sides. He's fighting,
it's so
Obi-Wan,
cool.
and it's all happening. Qui-Gon's attacking from one side, Obi-Wan's on the other. I don't know. Just such an intense scene. Definitely my favorite lightsaber.
It's such a shame that they did him that way because he was so good in the Phantom Menace, and he just was not.
I hear that they're going to reprise the character from either before that or maybe somehow he survived that split in half fall. I don't know.
Well, he did. He was in the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, and then he was revealed in the Solo movie as a hologram. So he's kicking around. He's out there.
So he's not done, and he could very well come back.
He could. He's in great shape still. Like he could make it work. Dan, number one,
Darksaber.
Number one, Darksaber. So far, I want to point out, and I know Rich is going to end this because he's got his pinky up, and he's kind of a closet like original trilogy guy that when I was hating on like those people out there and how they're the worst, you're kind of that way.
No, I think the original trilogy is incredibly flawed.
No, I know. I'm really giving you shit, but like ultimately, I already know what your number one is. I guarantee it. But
interesting.
Yeah, I like that so far. Our lists have been very different here, so I respect the hell out of that Darksaber at number one, Dan.
It's very mysterious. I want to know more about it.
I do want to know more about it as well.
Exactly.
Reveal to me your secrets, witch.
All right, Rich.
All right. So what do you think my number one is? I'm curious.
I think it's Obi-Wan's lightsaber that he gives to Luke.
Terra Sinube.
It is not. It is Luke's green saber.
Okay. It was that. That was mine. It was one or the other.
Okay.
Just in Return of the Jedi, the final confrontation, Vader, Luke, the green and the red sabers. I mean, it's so iconic
image.
Yeah.
It is.
And Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Me too.
So that particular scene, resonates quite strongly for me. So yeah, Luke's green saber for me, that is the quintessential lightsaber.
Hell yeah.
I agree. I mean, not at number one, but it's deserving to be in the top three discussion. I mean, for God's sakes, it's Luke's lightsaber. I'm surprised Obi-Wan's didn't make anyone's list. So Luke's green and Obi-Wan's were two that were really, really close for me. But I'm going with it. I'm good with my top three. I thought it was a really interesting, diverse,
very different list
out there.
I'm glad Mace Windu was represented.
Yeah, me too. I was worried about that he
much different than our Batman list.
Oh my God, yeah. I think you and I had the exact same
list.
I want to point out that all three of my favorite lightsabers were all red.
So really?
Out there. What does that say about me?
True.
Interesting.
Oh, here's a fun fact. So the purple lightsaber, it's the Jedi that wield those are rooted firmly in the light, but they use the dark side if it's ultimately for good. So they use both, but only for a Jedi purpose, essentially. So that's why they're so rare. So there's very few Jedi that use the dark side.
Interesting. I wonder if Rey's going to get a purple lightsaber somewhere in the future line.
I would like to see that explored for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. Yep.
There's also a cloud blue color, apparently.
Apparently.
Powerball.
Well, that being said, any final thoughts on the lightsabers before we wrap this baby up?
Other than I want one, or I want to go down to the Disney workshop and build one.
Go research that stuff. There's a lot of cool lore back there.
Yep.
There's also different kinds of crystals. There's not just Kyber crystals. There's like 15 other sources that people can use, and they're all listed on the Wikipedia. It's awesome. There's all kinds of stuff there.
On the Wikipedia?
On the Wikipedia.
Dan, can you put that on the Facebook page for us?
Sure. Yeah.
I'd like to check it out.
Yep. I'll link it.
The nunchuck lightsabers. That's fantastic.
Yes. Oh, that'd be dope.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
That'd be so what a gamble.
Man, you hit yourself,
man.
Oh, you're screwed.
I know. You got to make sure you catch it always by the hilt if you're going to,
It just smells like arm hair burning. Like whenever you go into the training area where the Padawans are, they're like, psst, psst, ow, psst. Just no eyebrows. Just a psst.
Oh my God. I'd love to see it. We'll probably get it someday. But that being said, anything? Did I really? Was that what I was saying before? That being said,
yes.
I don't even hear it. It washes over me
a dozen times since.
Oh man, have I really? Wow. Well, I'm gonna come up with about 10 synonyms, and I'm gonna cycle through them. I'm gonna have it on a list. I'm just gonna cross them off so that I don't repeat that. But all things considered. Any last thoughts from the chat? We want to thank the chat out there. If anything, you guys, any last thoughts from you guys before we wrap this baby up?
Kind of surprised no one picked Yoda's little diminutive green lightsaber.
I almost did.
Such an issue with the small. What are you, a size queen?
It's a Shoto.
It sounds like you're a size queen. You had a problem with the Chode saber from Dooku. Now you're, Yoda's just got a little miniature one. Like
that means he has a big hog, though. Look at how Yoda walks. You tell me.
That's on that note.
What's that cane for, man?
Yep, I've got nothing else to say on Star Wars after that image was just.
That is not an image.
Yoda probably is hung like a friggin' Wookiee.
Oh my god!
But 15, jeez, I need to come up with something else. But yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah.
That being said, thanks everyone for coming and hanging out with
I don't know what else to say. I was just going to say it again.
I took it from you.
Anything else from you guys before we send this bitch home?
Anyone want to do a Baba Booey in the chat or anyone?
Donnelly, any final thoughts from you?
No, man. I think we have a lot of stuff going on with Star Wars. I'm looking forward to the future of it. Keep your eye on the channel to see as things develop. We're going to be on the breaking end of it, so looking forward to that.
Yep, breaking end of it. Unlike the Chode lightsaber and the veiny lightsaber.
Yeah,
Dan, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Just really excited to see some of this stuff. I still need to see the Mario movie, but that's on my list. I did finally see John Wick, so we can talk about that.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so
real quick, what'd you think?
Loved it.
Yeah,
loved it.
Hell yeah.
One complaint, but I don't want to.
I'll talk to you after this. Yeah, Rich, final thoughts.
Spaghetti.
That's some deep stuff. Well, with that being said, thank you all for tuning in to us. If you're watching us live, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for up-to-date content from the Nerdstalgia brand. There's a lot more coming, guys, outside of this live show. So definitely, if you are not subscribed, make sure to hit that button so that you'll be notified for all the content that we're posting, whether it's movie reviews, whether it's Donnelly 3D prints. We're going to start streaming lots of retro video games as well as current games. There's a lot on the horizon, and we thank you for joining us for that ride. For Donnelly, for Dan, and for Rich, I am Tim. And for Yoda's Chode, thank you for joining us for a very special Star Wars edition. Have yourselves a wonderful night. My God.
Merry Choda.
Merry Choda. Take it easy, everybody.